may find yourself behind the wheel of a large automobile. And you may find yourself in a beautiful house with a beautiful wife. And you may ask yourself, well, how did I get here?
In the last 20 years, America's high-tech Silicon Valley has transformed the world of business. The information superhighway now produces a millionaire every minute. But with this explosion of sudden wealth comes what some are calling a new disease.
How do I work this? And you may ask yourself, where is that large automobile? And you may tell yourself,
across the country, a new industry of experts are reporting on the harmful effects of getting rich quick.
It's very hard for people who have come into money to see themselves as having problems. They have exactly what most Americans believe should be the panacea for all of their life's problems and difficulties. It's a crazy assumption.
These dot-com millionaires may have a big house, a big car, and a big bank account, but what really happens when you wake up one morning and realize you never have to work again? In this affluent suburb of Silicon Valley, Kathleen and Steve have just bought a $7 million house. Kathleen sold her dot-com business for several $1 million last year and no longer has to work. But she's finding life at home far more demanding than she'd expected.
I call myself a recovering working mom because when I worked, my life was compartmentalized. I had, this is my work time, this is my workout time, this is my kid time. And you could set your watch by my schedule. And now it's all kid time. And it was so much easier to compartmentalize when I worked, and now I can't. Now it's all kid time. And and it's good, and I make a conscious effort not to do the scheduling thing, and it's really hard because we all live like that.
And this would be Principessa.
Yes, we need your washcloth.
Hello, yes we do.
She's pretty dirty.
Yes you are.
Say hi, Katie.
Can you say hello? This is Katie, and this is her brother Daniel.
Hands, please.
These are the twins.
These are the twins.
So this is Trisha.
Hi there.
And Julia.
What is he?
You're eating your cake. Wait, you found my cake.
I moved down here from Marin in 90, and I called a friend who gave me, the pediatrician, the dentist, the this, the that, and, after Brandon was born. And she had said, you have to do the Child and Family Institute. It's just such a sweet group of people.
We send peace and love. We send peace and love to everyone, to everyone. We send peace and love. We send peace and love.
For guidance, Kathleen has turned to the Child and Family Institute, an organisation set up to teach parents like Kathleen how to relate to their children and how to spend family time together.
We love you, we love you. This area attracts what you call a type A personality, which is a high achiever, and control is a real part of their lifestyle. Many of them are Stanford graduates. To get into Stanford, you have to be of that type, that you're in control, you're a driving force, you're going to make it happen, and you do. But what wakes them up periodically is all the best laid plans sometimes still don't work. And they stop and they say, whoa, this isn't what I planned. I had a mother call with an 18-month-old and ask me if there was a computer program to calendar the 18-month-old's days. 18 months. They lose sight sometimes, I think, that they're dealing with children who have an inner call and may not go the direction they're planning. And that's a hard thing for them to hear and see.
That child is such a wonderful, cohesive force, and it just levels everyone, and you just become Timmy's dad or Mary's mom, and that's the uniqueness of it. It's just, and it's being in an environment where it's okay to reach your heart space, to communicate from the deepest place of who we are. And we model with mom and dad ways of really speaking directly to that child in a way that will live in them forever.
I love mommy, I love mommy, yes I do, yes I do, and my mommy loves me, and my mommy loves me too, loves me too.
Is this it? Oh, I think it's the next one. I wonder if we know anybody here.
The Institute also arranges mother and child tea parties in private homes, an opportunity for Kathleen and her son to spend quality time together.
Knock, knock. Hello, hello.
I get to see your other half. Hi, Brenda.
Do you remember Claire?
How's your new house? You having a good time there? Oh, it sounded like a wonderful place.
Who has the key? I have the key. Who has the penny? Let us see. Now we're the ones that go round, so everybody take a step in and put your hands behind. Who will get the penny? Wait and see. Maybe I will get the paper clip. I will get the... Excuse me. So everybody gets to go to a different little magical corner to have their tea, just you and your mom. We're going to go and find you. There we go. Excuse me. Okay? Oh, excuse me, Margaret. What about your tea? Here's somewhere for someone. Let's see the places you could go for tea. Let's look at some of the places. Thank you.
Like this. I got a little bit.
Did you eat the leaf?
Remember?
Try to guess what kind you want to make. Cinnamon.
Yeah. We will get a dog.
And the delight in just being able to have the ice cream. Those are profound moments.
I love that smell.
Are you making your headache any better?
Mm-hmm. Really helps my headache.
It's fair if you get more than me. And cookies. I like the
Same as it ever was.
Millionaires Susan and Mark Ellis are software designers. It's the summer holidays and they're putting their kids through an intensive program. Their son Paul is at computer camp and they're attending his open day. In the last few months, they've made over $20 million in the dot-com boom.
I can just draw anything.
Susan's given up working, but Mark's busy setting up a new company.
So you drew those?
Basically, this is the basic
What?
thing. Then window color, I guess, would be this. You have to create rules for it, and I don't have that. I didn't create any.
A big key component of Silicon Valley is competition. In the workforce, if you're not willing to give 18-hour days, 7 days a week, you're told you can be easily replaced. Well, what that builds inside someone is that sense of drive. I have to stay ahead. I have to keep up. Well, this filters down into the family in that they want the best for their children. They want their children to be able to keep up. So consequently, they over-schedule them, over-provide for them in the hopes that they will have what they need in order to keep up when they're in the workforce.
and I can create any character by drawing them and then coloring them.
All right, good work. And my husband is busy coaching a girls' softball team. It's an all-star team, and they practice every day. His games are at 8 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, and 6 in the evening on Saturday. Yeah! Yeah! Margot is going to an overnight camp for 2 weeks. It's near Yosemite. They do water skiing, archery, softball, and drama, and crafts, and whitewater rafting. Paul did golf camp last week and computer camp this week, and today I signed him up to come here again next week. So we've got people coming and going all the time.
Hi, Susan.
Hi.
Where's the family?
Well, they're in the kitchen. Hi.
You work hard and you do your best, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to make it. So then you start seeing like, okay, it looks like we're going to make it. And then the last 9 months, or maybe a little longer, but anyway, the stock market and technology stocks just been going through the roof. And we were shocked.
What was your first response?
Don't believe it.
Yeah, just not real. Just how can this be happening? We never would have dreamed that the stock would appreciate that much. Never, just never.
How much pork fried rice?
Pork.
How did you tell your kids?
Oh, we've kind of leaked it out a little bit.
Eggplant.
Telling them that the stock in Mark's old company went public and we're doing really well, and kind of left it at that for now. We're happy with our lives the way they are, and we don't want money to disrupt that.
Hi, can I place an order to go? Chicken chow mein, 1 quart of hot and sour soup.
If you don't know how else to handle it, you can just pretend it doesn't exist.
Is this one okay, Paul?
Yeah.
Okay. Bag's out here. Okay, bye-bye. See you later.
How did your family respond to you coming into wealth?
My family doesn't really know yet. My family is just my 2 sisters, and I have an aunt and an uncle and a cousin, and that's it. I told one sister that we'd made quite a bit of money, but I didn't tell her how much, and she doesn't guess. So I eventually will let her know.
And what was your fear about telling the family?
Well, I want to avoid jealousy, and I think that's an issue not only with the family, but with neighbors and friends and things, that you don't want a situation where people start to think about you differently because you suddenly and luckily have way more money than they do. Why couldn't they have been so lucky? And you just don't want that to enter into your relationships with people. So we're going to play that pretty low key.
Just letting our anxieties go, letting our thoughts go.
The family's financial advisors are worried that Mark and Susan haven't come to terms with their sudden wealth. So they've invited the couple to attend one of their $500 a day money therapy groups, but Mark's too busy to go.
And seeing if we can just notice the few moments that are there that are clear for us. And returning to the breath that creates the power of meditation that adds flexibility to our lives around innocent beliefs. As you come out of the meditation now, you might just see if you can continue to have a flexible relationship to the thoughts that do arise.
I'm finding this really an interesting time to explore how I was brought up about money, the various attitudes in my family and my parents and my grandparents, and to really re-examine whether those were good attitudes or bad attitudes, and just take the opportunity to choose what kind of attitudes I'd like to have, what we'd like to do with our children, and just how we want to handle the situation. And about the only thing I know right now is the money's not going to control me. If I have to just be in denial and pretend I don't have it, and that'll make me happy, that's
Great, sister.
That's what I'm going to do.
Great, thank you. Yeah. Who else?
Hi, my name is Dana. I met George at a panel discussion on the soul of money just a couple months ago, and got his book. And I am an entrepreneur. I've been in the technology industry for the last 15 years, and so I built a company, went through one company that went public. I built another company in Seattle 6 years ago that I just retired from at the beginning of this year, stepped down as CEO, and am going through a huge life transition with that.
Entrepreneur Dana Brutig lives in the Napa Valley north of San Francisco. She's retired and lives on her own vineyard.
I got on an airplane on Monday nights, and I stayed up there on Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, and I came home on Thursday nights and spent Friday, Saturday, Sunday here. And when I was there, I worked, 18 hours a day. And when I was here, I was home.
And do you have a husband?
No, I'm divorced, and that was one of the, been just recently divorced over the last year and a half. Coming home was one of those things that we were kind of separated during that 4 years because I was up there and he was down here. And it caused a lot of things that were always there in the marriage to just kind of come to the surface. And by the time I got home, it was very apparent that there was time for a change. And after 20 years, it's a hard transition to go through, but it was the right decision. It was definitely the right decision.
It's the 4th of July and Dana's giving a party for her neighbors.
I was going to be a local. I finally said, I want to separate, just do a trial. Like within 3 days, it was like, oh my gosh, this is so great. The kids are light. I keep saying it was like, I felt like the Munchkins, it was like, come out wherever you are. It was like suddenly they were like, and I knew from that day forward that like this is right, and they've just blossomed. This whole year has just been, they're different children. They're just different. This is my son, David. And this is my daughter, Caitlin.
What are you going to do today?
What are you going to do today?
Another beneficiary of the dot-com boom is Brian, who's recently inherited a fortune. He lives in San Francisco and still lives in the same house. His girlfriend Janine died of a heart attack last year and left him over $2 million worth of dot-com shares.
This is shortly after we returned from the Grand Canyon. She's smoking a cigarette and I'm telling her, "You're sick. Don't smoke your cigarette." So she's sticking out her tongue. She says, "So have you put your retirement stock?" Me as the beneficiary. And I told her my retirement thing isn't going to cover burying me. And so it was just kind of funny because we'd often laugh about that. She made 3 times what I made, money. And so And so we were laughing about it because it was just funny. And so I told her, and so she told me, if I ever pass away, or if I pass away, you're going to be rich.
What are you going to do you think, with the money?
It's hard to give it a lot of thought because there's no one I can talk to about it. Because most people I associate with, it's fairly unfathomable, just as with myself. My experience, my background isn't having a lot of money to spend. I'm not used to being real tight with the money because if all I have is a very little amount of money, it doesn't matter if I waste it. Suddenly I have all this money, but I realize if I waste this, I'm really screwed. Had it happened with Janine still around, we'd get an RV, we'd retire, and we'd travel around, is what we would do.
Do you think that your relationships with your friends has changed since you got this money?
Well, one thing is now I can be more generous, and if we go out or do something, I understand that they're under more restraints than me. So I pick up the tab, and I feel good about that, but then on the other hand, there can be a lot of resentment because it's easy for them to see that I'm saying somehow that they can't provide or they can't, somehow I'm better or something, which is so much the opposite almost. Because I feel that most people who are working and whatnot have their act together more than me.
Brian still keeps in touch with one of his old workmates.
This is a store I worked in when I was a working man. Hey, Bob.
Hey, Brian.
So when you getting out of here?
After I complete this.
What do you think? 5 minutes? 4 minutes? 3 minutes?
This is Sierra White. Yeah? Yeah.
Here we go, my desk. This is it. Used to mix the paints. Yeah, this is it. Yeah, this is where it happened. This is where I put in 8 hours a day. What nightmares it brings back. When I went back to work, every day was as if Janine was still alive because I was doing the exact same thing. And so when lunch would roll around, I would expect the phone call.
Want a job name?
Shrug off the coffee today if that's okay. And so when I received the first check for $50,000, my coworkers looked at me and they said, "Why are you here?" So that's when I decided that I would not go to work anymore. And so the relief from that is just overwhelming. Just jump in. I just got a ticket for $100 in your neighborhood for double parked.
Look at this. Is this ridiculous? I have no idea how to turn the TV on in this house anymore. Good. Wow.
I think it's probably better.
You do?
In terms
I
of
love
color.
that guy.
How many people work here?
We have Julia, who lives with us. She's from Peru, and she actually has 4 children in Peru. She's sending money home, and she'll go home in a year and a half or 2 years. She does a fair amount of the housekeeping, and she helps with the children. Tricia is now more of my assistant, and she kind of does a lot of running around, and she works 3 days a week. I think we're going to need another housekeeper, though. I think this house is way too much for Julia. We have a gardener, and then there's a pool man who comes. This property is like running a small village. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous, actually.
I don't know very much about feng shui, but there's something about this kitchen. I think that it's good in here because it makes me want to cook. I mean, I like to cook, but just I walk in here and the first Sunday. Oh, hi, honey. Oh, look, there would be the husband. There's Daddy.
In a cocktail.
It's a what?
In a cocktail.
What did he say?
In the...
Cracker.
Are you putting a cherry on a cracker? You are a
This is our
silly
charming
boy.
little son. Excellent. Yes. Yeah, very. Usually it's closer to
9?
Yeah, 7, 8.
9.
Yeah, at the earliest. It's been hectic. And she gets mad at me every now and then. It only lasts for a little while. Huh? Oh, you know, that kind of work versus family stuff.
Me? Angry?
Never happened.
My character. Big lie, big lie.
Katie, are you going swimming?
Kathleen's having some problems with her domestic staff. She's set up a meeting with her nanny agency to discuss her concerns.
What I'm struggling with is, since Julia's 4 children are in Peru, and 2 of them she sent her kids back home when the younger 2 were the twins in Brandon's age. She's really she pours her love into the kids, which is wonderful, but if I leave the house for more than an hour, I have to work really hard to get, I don't leave the house because I don't want to fight for my children's affection, and it's really hard.
Mm-hmm.
So Steve was saying, gee, if you find somebody to do more of the housework, then you're freeing Julia up to be with the kids more.
Oh.
What do? Do I get somebody a couple days a week? I adore her, and I don't want to say don't love my children, but I also don't want to feel like if I leave my house, and I definitely want to keep her. Steve was making breakfast for the kids, and Julia was sitting there stroking Daniel's back while Daniel was playing instead of,
Right,
he wanted to say, you make breakfast, let me be with my son.
Right.
And Julia was yesterday I was doing laps in the pool, and I had her sit in the hot tub, and she was holding on to Katie, and I had a tail end of migraine. I finally said, she can sit on her own. She doesn't have to be held. She's 2.5. You can put her down.
Right.
And it was unkind of me, but at the same time, it's just,
Really, this is a juggling act. Whenever you get into a multi-staff situation,
Right.
it's like when you ran your company.
Right.
But it's a different kind of a thing.
I
You
know.
get into jealousies and you get into managing them and their feelings and the emotions around that.
And that's why I let go of the other housekeeper that I had 1 day a week. 1, she got lazier and lazier, and 2,
You're gonna be on TV over there. This is Victor. He's Mexican.
Bueno.
Sí. Yeah, someday, baby, when I'm 6 feet in my grave, you won't keep running around and cheating in line and treating me like a low-down, dirty slave. All right?
With all this money, Brian, you're not tempted to get someone to do your laundry?
Yeah, that would be great. Someone to do my laundry and stuff. I'm a pretty private person, though. It might be hard to believe that, but I suppose if I did it and started having it done, I would enjoy it. But again, it's something so different than anything I'm used to that.
Most people, when they get rich, they dream of having servants.
Oh, I dream about having servants too. ones that respect me or something, but I just don't know that that's going to happen. But as it is, still doing my own laundry, still do my own dishes.
Do you think you feel guilty about the money?
Yeah. Yes, I feel very guilty about the money. It's just me, the way I got it was just so bad. It's just so bad. It's just so unfair. I could see it fair if it was her spending the money in a sense. But I think it was just luck or being in the right place at the right time.
Brian has also been advised to attend the same money therapy group as Dana and Susan. His financial advisors think he needs help to overcome his feelings of guilt.
First, we're going to be talking about what
your earliest childhood money memory that you can think of. Hopefully, you can think of one. So why don't we find somebody that you do not know and get into twos.
Yeah, so my father, he was a lot more spendthrift, and he seemed to live for the day, and why have the money if you're not going to have fun with it, if you're not going to do something with it, whereas my mom was a lot more precautious, and what are we going to do about tomorrow, and what if we don't have the money, and so she would always worry about it, but no matter how much she worried, it didn't seem like we would have enough, and no matter how much my dad seemed to spend, it didn't seem like we were living worse. So it was kind of an ambivalent message about money. Work hard.
Everybody, you've got 30 seconds to give your one-liner. 30 seconds to identify that little T-shirt one-liner that attaches to that memory.
I suppose you have to work hard and put everything into it, but that doesn't guarantee anything. You might still not get a thing. I know that working hard matters, but I also see that a lot of people work hard and they end up with very little. That's 30 seconds, isn't it?
I have a man I'm dating. I've started dating again, which was my first date after not having dated for 22 years. We see each other right now about twice a week.
No, that was behind his back.
It was more how he was with my kids. David was really bonding to this man and being playful and silly and mischievous. There's a line in Gone with the Wind that says, "There must be a great deal of good in a man who could love a child so."
You gotta catch those.
He had a hard time asking me
That was
out
a double.
because of what I have. His first comment to me was, "We come from very different worlds, and you may not want to go out with me." And I said, "What do you mean?" And he says, "Well," he used to pick up David and take him to practice, and he goes, "I see your house. I see what you have. I know what, I don't have that." So it's been an issue, I want to pick up the tab. If I'm going to take you out, I want to be the traditional male. And so for me, that's a fun thing. It's like, great, take care of me. This is new. And I like it. I like being taken care of. It's a very novel experience.
You haven't had any rows about money?
No, not yet. Because we have very clear understanding.
Yeah, because
He asks me out, he picks up the bill. Ultimately it would be an issue. But we're not there yet, it's too new.
I know. Okay. Oh, I should have got that. Going to my room.
Oops.
Dana knows that money might create problems in the future, but in therapy she discovers that she still has guilty feelings about her newfound wealth.
When I founded this company, I founded it with people I had worked with previously. We went through the first 18 months and we could not get a venture capitalist to fund us. So we were pretty much self-funded. We were using all our own money, trying to keep this dream alive of what we were building. We got to the point where I just had exhausted all the friends, all the family, everybody, and it just felt like it wasn't going to happen. And my right-hand man, his name is Corey. Corey came into me one day and put down on my desk a check for $25,000. And I said, "Corey, where did that come from? We've all given everything. You don't have any money to give me." And he said, "I've been holding out on you. There's one fund that Tracy and I didn't want to touch. His wife has lupus, and she needs a kidney transplant." And he said, "This is our transplant money. I know you want to give up, but we don't want to give up. So we give you this money freely, without any strings attached." It was painful, but it gave me the power to go get, to really re-energize me to say, I'm going to make it happen for Corey. So one of the happiest days was handing him back that check You know, but it's a painful memory about money and what people are willing to do, and it's painful because of the belief, because it meant that he believed in me, and that's the essence of the pain.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I mean, it's a wonderful story in a way. It brought tears to my eyes. And at the same time, knowing that it was a difficult story, I felt a touch of horror as I became aware of what the consequences might be for you. And when I heard about your employee coming in with the $25,000 with the money that was saved for lupus, I had a lump in my throat and tears in my eyes throughout that entire piece. I felt sadness. And then as you spoke about the finally finding the venture capital, I felt release and a sense of easing of tension throughout the chest and shoulder area. Great. Anything else that you'd like to share about the experience?
My heart isn't pounding anymore.
Wonderful.
I'm glad it's over.
Yeah. Great. Great. Thanks, Dana.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Let's give Dana a round of applause.
We're downtown San Francisco. It's about 10 blocks away from the financial district. It's a whole other world, tell you the truth. People living in hotels here, just hustling to get by. Little storefronts, people living above the stores. I don't think this is the wine country that some of those Silicon Valley people are used to, but this is a wine country I'm used to.
It's a hard time.
Yeah, Bob, so how was your weekend?
We didn't do much. It was all right.
My financial advisors, they set me up with this workshop. It seemed to be filled mostly with people who, you know, they work too much and they don't live enough, and now they don't know what to do with themselves, and so they got to go to a workshop or have therapy or something, have someone else tell them, you know, kick back, enjoy yourself, live a little, give a little.
I would tell you what I think is that most 90% of this stuff is bullshit.
Yeah.
And they want a chunk of what you have, and they use buzzwords and all this and that.
You know, if you have kids and you run a business, you need someone to tell you how to be happy or something?
Yeah. Well, people make their careers doing seminars like that. You know?
Yeah.
I think they're parasites, actually.
The people making the money off their age.
Parasites.
Yeah, how was the session? The money session. Did you get any money?
No, I didn't get any money.
If it's a money session, you don't get any money.
Well, got a few things to learn here, dear, I guess.
So. The same group as yesterday?
Yeah. Yeah.
Who was there?
They recommend giving 10% of your monthly cash flow away. We can work with that number a little bit to figure out kind of where we are. And
When you say cash flow, that's going out or coming in?
Going out.
Doesn't this depend on how much is coming in?
And do you feel pressurized in any way since you come into money that you should be philanthropists?
Not yet. We've been told that people will start asking us for money. It's been suggested to me that if I need any more activities to fill my time, that I should go find an organization that I'm really passionate about and volunteer my time as well as give them money. So it's been proposed as kind of a next career for me to be involved with some kind of charitable organization. Once our names are publicized as donors, people will look at the list and say, oh, I know Susan and Mark. I'll go ask them about donating money to improve the tennis courts at the high school or whatever the cause is. You know, for us, we're still kind of in the stage of, well, we have no idea how much we can afford to give away.
Meanwhile, back in the Napa Valley, Dana's contemplating her future and trying to find a new life after wealth.
I think at a certain age, people start saying, what is my legacy? What's my life been about? When people remember me, what will they remember about me? And then when they start tallying that up, they go, I don't like it, or it's not enough, so I want to change it. I want to create something that will be meaningful to me. People have this like search to have more of an impact on the world than just that, than their family, or they want to have something that says, this is who I was, this is what I thought, this is what I believe to be true, and this is the way I impacted it. And that's why Rockefeller set up his Rockefeller Foundation, and Ford set up it was their legacy. If my children can talk about me in a way that they admire me. My daughter Caitlin came home with a school assignment that said it was like for Women's Day, Women's Month or something, and it said they'd learn all about all these great women, and then they had to write an essay, the woman I admire most in the world. And Caitlin wrote, is my mother. And I have that hanging in my room because it's like, that's easy for a 10-year-old to say. If she says that at 30, I will be very, very content, peaceful. That's what I want my legacy to be, is for them to say, here's a woman I admire. That's my goal, to influence others.
What I want you to do is just close your eyes for a minute and just sit quietly and breathe in and breathe out.
In Silicon Valley, Kathleen's decided to attend a women's group to help her cope with her feelings of isolation. It's called Voices of the Heart.
Just notice the silence and then repeat after me, pay attention, pay attention. You say it with me? Mm-hmm. Pay attention, be at peace,
be at peace,
trust.
Trust.
And then open your eyes. And can you feel the difference here? You feel how quiet it is and how centered and calm you are? And this is a big part of what a lot of us feel this area needs, is for it to start with people like us and kind of reclaiming that stillness and that silence. And it's about being.
I realized when I stopped working and I was with my children more that I had to stop completely. And because otherwise it's, hurry, hurry, hurry. And children don't hurry. They actually, they're very zen. They're incredibly zen. And the whole idea of mindful everything, that's what they do naturally. And in order to get there and enjoy your children's lives, you have to stop everything. And I think it's a hugely difficult transition. Just being an adult and trying to do that with a child, and in this area where there are 1,000 things that you think you should be doing. And really there's one thing, and that is stopping to be with your children, if you're mom,
Same with the teas, like we did yesterday. It's been just fabulous to do those for the past year because, yes, it's on your schedule, but you go and then there's really nothing. The storyteller's going to take over and you don't have to do anything except just be there and have a nice, quiet time.
Tell me, what is it about a cup of tea that is, or what do you think about when you stop to have a cup of tea?
I mean, you don't drink it down fast. You know, that wouldn't be drinking tea.
Can't gulp it.
No. So it's actually stopping and taking time.
And did you love this word, indulgence?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's about, it's a real luxury. You know, there's an element of a real luxury, indulgent time.
And just the making of it. It has some steps to it.
Right. You can't just whip it up. You don't do tea in a microwave that I know of.
If you do the English tea, you turn the pot 3 times for luck.
Is that right? Ah.
And then the whole Japanese ceremony where you offer a cup of tea with 2 hands, and there's so much ceremony around tea, not coffee, tea.
It's a ceremony. It's a sharing. Often people have tea together. You usually sit down. Think of it, what a concept, you know, sit down to have tea. Well, I guess I'll give you a little assignment. And your assignment is to, before I see you next time, is to stop and have tea. Just savor that moment. Just be in the moment of having the tea. Let me just say that this is all confidential. Because confidentiality, I think also in this area, there's a lot of fear about what someone else might know. And I know that's the Valley voice, but we all need a place where we can share the things that are close to our hearts and the things that we're afraid of. And by sharing them, of course, then they often resolve. So thank you very much for having us into your home. I appreciate it. You hugged for your daddy. Oh, for your daddy. Oh.
This was great. I really would love to be in a group.
You would?
I would really love to be in a group. Yeah, me too.
My feelings about Silicon Valley are that the economy does shape people quite a bit. I think everyone's driven to succeed. Everyone's driven to make it. A lot of these people, they scare me. They really, really scare me because I just see that morally they can almost justify anything by the money. You're really not somebody without the money. Like, you can't be a good, decent person unless you have the money. It almost becomes like a religion. Once you're in it, anyone outside of it isn't really wholesome somehow. And I think some of these people believe that with the wealth, that if you're not striving for money and if you don't realize that money is that important, that you're outside of it, and that maybe you're un-American even.
Same as it ever was.